The morning's back page is dominated by that hammer blow to Nottingham Forest. The Times say Forest Fury at 4-point deduction. The Sun has Forest Fire, the Mail Forest Fury. Forest dropping to 18th in the Premier League, 1 point below Luton in the relegation places after failing profit and sustainability regulations by apparently £34.5 million. Nearly double the losses that cost Everton an initial 10 points. Later, of course, reduced to 6. Forest produced a strongly worded statement. They said they'll appeal the verdict, or they may appeal the verdict, though there's no guarantee that any outcome will be known until 5 days after the end of the season. The Premier League basically have put an end date of the 24th of May to any decision making, but they say they very much hope to have any decision made well before the end of the season. Now, host of the Red Side of the Trent podcast, Adam Wicklow, joined us earlier and admitted that Forest are a bit fortunate to have got off with 4 points.
Yeah, I think you could argue that, couldn't you? We chucked a lot of mud at the wall in hopes it would stick with a lot of our recruitment. I think Everton fans have got a right to be a little bit angry with what they got initially with the 10, which I thought was ridiculous at the time anyway. I think we've got away with it a smidge.
A smidge.
Quite pragmatic, wasn't he?
He was brilliantly pragmatic.
Normally fans are fuming.
No, he was absolutely... he was Captain Sensible, there's no doubt. Let's get the thoughts on that of the former World Cruiserweight Champion, massive Evertonian, of course, Tony Bellew. Morning, Tone.
Tony.
Morning, guys.
So, Tony, Forest 4 points deduction, even though their breach of the regulations was much bigger than Everton's, who got 6 points deducted. How does it make you feel?
Of course it was. I mean, typical just nail of Scousers. That's how it looks, from where we are. And it's an absolute disgrace. The Premier League needs looking at. Listen, it's going to end up like FIFA. Mm-hmm. Because the way the path they went down with the corruption and all this kind of thing, it's an absolute disgrace. You've got a team who's in Man City who's had more charges than I can possibly think of, and there's no charges come to them. It's an absolute disgrace. And then Forest, and I've got no problem with Forest. I think Forest are a big club, a good club, and yet they've done far worse than us, but yet get less of a points deduction. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. The Premier League are not doing anything right, and they're destroying football single-handedly. That's what they're doing, and it's just so difficult because, listen, these could take another point deduction from us, and where's the justice in that? So that would mean if these do take another 2 points off us, in the grand scheme of things, that's 8. So that's 8 points, and you've took 4 from Forest, who have got more than us, and you took double. So, like I said, where's the justice?
No. Me and Jeff were talking earlier, Tony, about the problems that football's facing with, because it feels like it's going legal or could go legal, and decisions not being made before the end of a season. That's a sad state of affairs for football, isn't it?
It is, Tony. You've got to look at it this way. I mean, it's just going to ruin the game. And this big 6 that they're talking about all the time, what you're doing is you're distancing them from the rest of the field. Because by bringing this rule into play, you're now basically saying, right, you can't catch them big clubs. Because how are the likes of Newcastle, who have had investment like they have with the buyers that they've got, how are they expected to ever catch the likes of the Man Cities and the Liverpools if they can't spend? It's a madness. So you've created another league within a league, and it can't be caught. Manchester United are always going to remain a huge, huge club because of what they generate and the size of the club. But how can the likes of Newcastle, how can the likes of Everton grow? You get people who buy your club, want to invest and really push the club and buy players, but how can they do that on this profit and sustainability thing? It just makes no sense, guys. So I just think the Big 6, the league is made for the Big 6.
And Tony, that's exactly what Chelsea and Man City have done, and what you're talking about. They were allowed to invest, become bigger clubs and more powerful. They were allowed to do that in a certain period of time. And like you're saying, but now no one can do that, it feels, from the outside.
It does. I mean, listen, the days of Roman Abramovich coming in and turning a whole club around are long gone. I mean, people will say they're not, because look at what Chelsea have done at the minute, and I find it hilarious that people are calling the billionaire bottle jobs. They're an amazing side with an absolutely amazing manager, and I just think I just don't know where football's going, guys. You know, we used to be the most exciting league in the world, and now all that's about it is courts and taking points off teams, and it's a. I can't. I'm trying to think of a better word, but it's a mess. It's a real mess, and I don't know the way out of it now, because now you've started. Where does it end?
Yeah,
Man City, are going to end up, mate, in the conference if this comes off. They really are, and I don't mean to be, patronising but you can't have 115 charges. You've done us for 10 points. I mean, listen, your club can go into administration. That means you've failed on every single level, and you're only getting 9 points. They took 10 from us. 10, which is just insane. It's a disgrace. It's disgusting. The Premier League needs to be explain themselves. They really do, because with the way we're going now, there's no hope for football, especially for clubs like us. You've got to remember, Everton are one of the founders of the Premier League, and now we're being treated as if we're an outsider of it. We're a huge club, regardless of what people think. Everton is a huge football club.
You can't just continue to take points off people, can you, Tony? Because it makes a farce of the entire league. There has to be a better way than that.
I think you're right, Jeff, but is there a better way now? Because they've set the precedent now. And, and there's actually no real clarity with the precedent that they've set, because, as I say, you've taken 6 off Everton and 4 off Forest, when Forest have done worse than Everton. Who's making? They're making these rules up as they go along.
Yeah, well, they're going to change it, aren't they? By all accounts, at least going to discuss changing it during the course of the summer. And I think one of the things they need to decide upon then is a different form of punishment for anybody who breaches the rules. Maybe transfer embargoes, that sort of thing. But look, what about on the pitch, Tony? Is there any frustration amongst the fans with the job Sean Dyche is doing, or is everybody still fully behind him?
You've got to be fully behind him, Jeff. I'm sick and tired of the revolving door of managers. He's done a fantastic job. I mean, listen, when they took them 10 points originally from us, we were in a world of trouble, and he got us out of it. He really did. He's working with the hand he's dealt. I think he's a very capable manager. I think his staff are very capable, and I think he's done a really good job. Like I said before, the hand he's dealt is very, very tough. We basically can't bring anybody in. We've got no money to spend. We've had an owner who's just jumped ship and just got off, and no one knows what's going on. It's just madness. It really, really is. And the club needs just some direction now. We really do. The staff are doing everything that they possibly can to keep working at the club and keep pushing us and keep helping us. But so many people have left. You've got to look at it from where Fahad Mashiri come in. You've got Everton have gone through 3 directors of football. You've gone through, I think it's 7 or 8 managers. It might even be more. And our late great chairman, Bill Kenwright's passed away. And when you add up all them things, I mean, you've got a squad made up of 7, 8, 9 different managers, 3 directors of football. Who are these players playing for? Who brought them in? Because you've got players who've been at the club for years now, and they've lost a sense of direction, and you just got to hope for the best. Like I said, I think Sean is the right man. He's doing a great job. The position we're in the minute, you've got to look at it. If you give us put back the points that we've been deducted, or let's just say you take 4 instead of the 10, even though we got 4 back, you're in a completely different place. You're miles away from the relegation zone, and Everton look like they're on the path again. But I just think with a clean bill and with new owners and a fresh look, I think Everton Football Club are back up there amongst the top 10. I really do.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.